Hey guys, my name is Miska and welcome to Overwatch Central. Of course, after a huge update, there's always so much to talk about, but I wanted to dedicate this video to talk more about the tank slot and main tanks and how those are affected in the update, as that is the role that I play. I play mostly main tank, but I play most tanks really. It's only really Zarya that I don't have that much experience on, unfortunately. So I wanted to just get straight into it and to the different aspects that affect the tanks. Some you guys have heard before, of course, such as the buffs, but I wanted to go through those as well. And first off, of course, Reaper is buffed, and that definitely affects the tank slot, mostly the main tank slot really, but just tanks across the board as well, as Reaper is one of those heroes that you can really feel as a tank and you really have a lot of pressure put on by if you are playing the main tank role or just a tank role on your team. Of course, Mei as well, being able to freeze through several enemies and all of that will make it a little bit more annoying if she's freezing from the side onto one of your allies and then through them onto you as the main tank. Either way, with these two heroes buffed, it's gonna be harder to play tanks in this update. Not horrible, and we're not gonna be seeing Mei and Reaper every single match, but it's gonna be harder for sure. Now, the other thing that you may have seen in the title as well is that Orisa has actually received a little bit of a nerf, and this might not seem as major to people that don't play Orisa, but to a lot of Orisa players, I'm sure you'll be able to remember a bunch of times when you actually used this, and this was classified as a bug fix for a very good reason. So basically, the Orisa nerf reads as follows: fixed a bug that allowed Orisa's halt to sometimes affect enemy targets behind walls. Now, the thing about this is that behind walls is very hard to define in Overwatch, because the Orisa halt is kind of like a ball that you can put on a corner, either literally the corner of the wall or just a wall that's sort of like right next to it. Point is that it affects how you pull sort of targets overall with the halt ability, and whilst you can feel the changes, they're not as obvious when you're just pulling people around walls or on corners when they're trying to run away and that sort of stuff, but mostly here on Sanctum. Of course, there was the pull sort of technique that you could do. You could throw the Orisa halt sort of low down by the wall here, and it would kind of pull people over and down into the pit. This was super useful as Orisa and was pretty much the only reason as to why Orisa was played on Sanctum, and I can definitely see Orisa getting a lot less play because of this as a whole, because not only on this map can you use this technique, but basically any map where you're pulling people down in front of you. So any hole or any sort of edge of the map that you can see in front of you, you kind of use this technique if the ledge wasn't too tall. But mostly, even if you'd pull people kind of on corners or on walls around like this, it will now be just that bit harder. And even if you do manage to pull them around walls, I did notice this as well, they're a lot more likely to kind of get stuck on the corner now, sort of like you've seen Soldier do in a few of these clips, rather than getting thrown around the wall entirely. Now, don't get me wrong, this kind of makes sense, this was a bug, but this is definitely something that will affect Orisa. Alright, with that out of the way, we of course have the D.Va nerfs as well, and the main thing about the D.Va nerfs was that there was kind of like an added thing with an extra nerf. Now you do 10 instead of 25 damage when you boop someone when using your mobility ability, the boosters, and of course the rockets do a bit less damage, leaving someone at about 3 bars instead of 1.5 bars. So the tank slot, and especially the main tank slot overall, is in a weird spot right now, with Winston and Ryan potentially having to do with more Reaper and potentially Mei, and with Orisa getting a minor nerf too. Times are going to be rough for me and other tank mains around the world, and with only really these 3 options as the heroes, you are a lot more limited as a tank main in terms of what you want to pick if you feel like you're being countered or being played around. And that is kind of the main part of this video that I really want to underline and express, that the main tank slot is really rough to play in that way. Sure, in some tiers it might be fine to play D.Va and Zarya, but with so few options for main tank, it really is one of those roles that's kind of in a weird spot. There was a very good post on r/competitive Overwatch talking about this part in particular, and it's a very good read. I suggest you go and check that out. I'll leave it in the description. But all in all, main tank is mostly going to get grindier from here on out, and it's one of those roles that can feel very rough to play if you're up against spammy compositions and now potentially more Reapers as well. And it's things like these that add to the already very choice limited role that main tank is. And of course, one of your 3 choices being Reinhardt, who's just riddled with bugs still, or just has very kind of inconsistent performance in some ways. I don't mean to sound like I'm over exaggerating, but it really is one of those roles that because of these changes, because of Reinhardt's position, and just because of how the main tanks already do in the game, it's one of those roles that just seem to be in a pretty bad spot right now. Of course, it's not impossible to play main tank and you'll still need it, and there are other hero changes upcoming, reworks as well, and other meta swings that could potentially be happening, and that might help out a bit, who knows, only time will tell. But really, I hope the next hero is a new main tank to sort of help with this slot, as with changes like these, and where the sort of main tank slot already is in the game, it's all of a sudden very clear and very easy to spot the flaws of this part of of the game. Either way, that's it for this video. I wanted to highlight the sort of main tank slot and also just the Orisa sort of nerf. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, of course, and subscribe for more Overwatch content. You guys know the drill. But that's it for this video. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.